Okay, here's the service manual, brakes, page 5. Here's the bleeding instructions right here. So this says to start with the left rear caliper, right rear caliper, left front caliper, right front caliper, front side air bleeder on ABS actuator, rear side air bleeder on ABS actuator. See where I wrote 95 model has no air bleeder on actuator? Well, okay, what that means is like your 94, 95, 96 models don't have the air bleeder on the actuator. So if you got the 94 to 96s, you just have to bleed the 4 calipers and then you're done. These instructions are only for basically the 90 to 93s. The 90 to 93 models, you have to bleed the ABS actuator, but the newer models you don't. Okay, I'm in the process of bleeding the brakes on this 300ZX. So I gotta start by bleeding the back wheels. And I put a piece of wood in between my jack and my rear differential. But you want to put the jack underneath the differential. There's a bracket in front of the differential, and you do not want to place the jack on it because it'll bend it. But it's a mounting bracket on the very front. And yeah, you just want to put it on the diff like that. Alright, your jack stands on the back go in front of the rear wheel. If you look under here, don't ever place the jack on this thing right here. That's your subframe mount. But because it'll bend it. This hole right here is where the jack goes. Okay. So that's it. Alright, I'm removing the jack from the differential. That's how I have the jack stands on the car. That's the holes that it goes in. And the jack stands, they're all the way down, so they can't slip. Okay, I'm putting the front of the car on jack stands and I'm fixing to start bleeding the front brakes. Okay, before I get my hands dirty, I want to show where the jack stands go on the front. So right up behind the front wheels. Yeah, this part of the framing. So that's where I got it. Okay, I'm still bleeding my brakes, but before I put my wheels back on, there's this good little tip. Clean the inside of these little holes where your lug nuts go inside here, because you really can't clean them good unless you pull the wheel off. So yeah, I cleaned the wheels and cleaned the inside of that before I put them back on. I had to put the car on ramps so I could bleed the clutch, the slave cylinder on the transmission. And what I did was I had the front of it jacked up on jack stands with the wheels removed doing the brakes. And then when I jacked it up to pull the jack stands out from underneath the car, I slid the ramps underneath the wheels and lowered it down on the ramps. So best thing to do is to bleed your brakes first, pull your wheels off, bleed those first, and then put your wheels back on. Like I said, jack it up, put it on ramps like this, and then do the clutch. Alright, to bleed the clutch, you have to start by bleeding the slave cylinder on the bottom of the transmission right here. You want to bleed that bleeder valve first, and then the valve that's underneath the hood, you bleed that last. Okay, I'm almost through bleeding the clutch on this 300ZX. So I got this little table set up here so it's level with my bleeder. And I got this bleeder valve thing pointing straight up so there's fluid in the bottom of it so no air can go back in it. And I got the plastic bag there because the fluid won't absorb into it. Just trying to protect the paint. Now in order to bleed these brakes and this clutch by myself, I made this tool. I got about a 1-inch dowel rod and I put these rubber stopper things on the end of it. Okay, and what I do is I push it down on the foot pedal like this, and then I prop it up against the seat. Now you can see I got this tool that I made holding my foot pedal down so I can bleed my clutch, and I also use it for the brakes also, but that'll hold it down so you can get it bled. So this cover right here, you want to remove it on the passenger side to get to the ABS actuator for the 90 to 93 models. Also, the easiest way to remove this is with one of these picks that's got an L shape to it, and you're going to stick it down in the crack and then pivot it sideways like this so it goes underneath it, then pull up, and you can grab underneath it and pop up. It's got 2 spring clips, one right here and one right here on these sides. This is behind the passenger seat. You pull a piece of plastic trim off of it, and that's where your ABS actuator goes. This is the 95 model, and it does not have any bleeder valves. As you can see here, this is what I believe the 94, 95, and 96 looks like. There are no bleeder valves on this actuator. The only 300ZXs that have bleeder valves on the actuators are the 1990 to 93 models. I used to have a 93 twin turbo, a blue one. But yeah, you can see there's no bleeder valves on it anywhere. So, on the 94, 95, 96, all you got to do is bleed the 4 brake calipers.